These balanced occlusion or factors affecting balanced occlusion. Previously, we have seen the Hanno. What are the Hanno proposed Hanno quint? So there are other authors who has proposed various factors or modification of this Hanno quint. Tropozano, 1963, reviewed Hanno's 5 factors and decided only 3 factors were actually concerned in obtaining balanced occlusion. Tropozano, he thought among these 5 factors of Hanno, only 3 factors like condylar guidance, incisal guidance, cuspal angle, only these factors are actually important for balanced occlusion. He eliminated need for compensating curve and occlusal plane. So 2 factors he have eliminated. They are compensating curve and occlusal plane. And these he called these three like triad of occlusion. See 3. He called it as triad of occlusion. See. So the decrease of incisal guidance, it leads to decreasing of cuspal angle. Okay. So increase of incisal guidance increases cuspal angle. Decrease of condylar guidance decreases cuspal angle. Okay. Increasing of condylar guidance increases cuspal angle. So he has thought of condylar guidance, incisal guidance and cuspal angle. Now these 3 he called as triad of occlusion. Next, Boucher. Same, Boucher in 1963, he disagreed with Tropozano, who have proposed only 3 factors and felt that there was a need for locating occlusal plane. So, in previous slide we have seen compensating curve and occlusal plane is not important. Tropozano's thought was compensating curve and occlusal plane was not important, but Boucher has disagreed with it and told even occlusal plane is an important factor. So occlusal plane be oriented exactly as it was when the nasal teeth are present. Felt there was a need for compensating curve and stated the value of the compensating curve is that it permits an alteration of cuspal height without changing the form of manufactured teeth. So by changing the inclination of the teeth, we can create a compensating curve. That was the Boucher thought. Lott's concept of balanced occlusion. See, Lott, what he told, he studied Hanno's work and clarified the laws of occlusion by relating them to the posterior suppression, that is the resultant of guiding factor. So Lott has studied Hanno's factors and he has given relation to the posterior suppression of the teeth. What he thought? See, steeper the condylar path, there will be a suppression of posterior teeth. Okay. If condylar path is steep, it suppresses the posterior teeth and leads to unbalanced occlusion. And greater the incisal guidance or steeper the incisal guidance, it causes posterior teeth suppression. And leads to unbalanced occlusion. Okay. If condylar path is steep, causes posterior suppression. If incisal guidance is greater, it leads to posterior suppression. Next, if posterior teeth are separated, we have to increase the compensating curve to provide balanced occlusion. Got it? If posterior teeth are separation happens, we have to increase the compensating curve or greater the compensating curve to prevent posterior disocclusion. Not only the compensating curve. If compensating curve are greater, we have to increase the plane of orientation. Okay. If you are increasing the plane of orientation, we have to increase the cuspal height. Okay. If more the posterior teeth are separated during mandibular movements, we have to increase the compensating curve, increase the plane of orientation, increase the cuspal height. This was Lott's concept. Okay. So among these 5 factors we have seen in Hanno, 5 factors, right, of balanced. They are interactive with each other. 5 factors are interactive with each other. Among these 5, 1 factor, condylar guidance, is not under control of dentist. Other 4 factors are under the control of dentist. Okay. Dentist can control only 4 of these 5 factors since the condylar path is fixed by the patient. Okay. 4 are under the control of dentist. Among these 4, incisal guidance and plane of occlusion can be altered only slightly because of aesthetics and physiological factors. Remember, incisal guidance, and the occlusal plane, which determined by aesthetics and phonetics, has to be altered very minimal. Otherwise, it will affect aesthetics and phonetics. The important working factor for the dentist to manipulate are, so which are the factors which dentist can able to manipulate to achieve balance or compensating curve, inclination of the cusp. See, this is very very important. Among these five factors, compensating curve and the cuspal angle or inclination of the cusp can be altered by the dentist to gain balanced occlusion. Now, we see balanced occlusion, how the contacts are happening. We know balanced occlusion means the contact of the teeth not only in the centriculation, in the protrusive or in the working side, non-working side, lateral contacts, lateral movements of the mandible, the contact of the teeth has to be there. Okay, we know what is working side. The side onto the side, the mandible moved is known as working side. The other side is known as balancing side or non-working side. So working side, what all the tooth contacts are? Okay, when you move the mandible, right side, the mandibular buccal cusp is the functional cusp. So mandibular buccal cusp ridges makes articulating contact with the maxillary cusp ridges, and same time mandibular lingual cusp ridges are making contact with the maxillary lingual cusp ridges. See here, this is working side. Usually mandibular buccal cusp articulates in the central fossa of maxillary teeth. Mandibular buccal cusp articulates with the central fossa of the maxillary. When mandible is moved towards this side, working side, mandibular buccal cusp will come into contact with the buccal cusp of maxillary teeth. Same time, mandibular lingual cusp come into contact with the lingual cusp of maxillary teeth. So, buccal cusp contact, mandibular buccal cusp contacts the maxillary buccal cusp, mandibular lingual cusp contacts the maxillary lingual cusp. Now, what happens on the balancing side? Mandibular buccal cusp and their occlusal facing ridge contacts maxillary lingual cusp and the ridge. Okay, see. On the balancing side, what happens? This is the buccal cusp of mandibular on the left side. So, when patient moves towards the working side, this is the non-working side, right? So, mandibular buccal cusp contacts the lingual cusp or palatal cusp of maxillary teeth. Okay, remember, this is the working side. Okay, these are normal. In the working side, buccal cusp, mandible, buccal cusp of maxillary contacts, lingual cusp, mandible, lingual or palatal cusp of maxillary contact. Whereas non-working side, buccal cusp of mandibular teeth contacts the palatal cusp of maxillary teeth. In protrusion, the incisal edges of mandibular anteteeth contact with the lingual surface of maxillary anteteeth. Okay. The mesiobuccal and lingual cuspal ridges of mandibular teeth contact with distobuccal and lingual cuspal ridges of maxillary teeth. So we already discussed. When patient moves the mandible into protrusion, the mesiobuccal cusp or mesial slopes of mandibular teeth contacts with the distal slope of maxillary teeth. That's why to prevent any locking, we have to modify the teeth mesio-distally. This is the working side. Have contact upper buccal cusp and mandibular buccal cusp and contact. Whereas balancing side, mandibular buccal cusp in contact in the palatal cusp of maxillary teeth. In protrusion, lower teeth are contacting the upper slopes. Same time, posterior teeth also should be in contact. Okay. Selective grinding. Selective grinding is nothing but, so when we are giving balanced occlusion, we know the contact of mandibular teeth to maxillary teeth. If there is any interference or if there is any problem with this occlusion, we have to alter the occlusal surface or we have to modify the occlusal surface of artificial teeth to achieve a balanced occlusion. So that procedure is known as selective grinding. Selective grinding is defined as intentional alteration of occlusal surface of the teeth to change their form. So intentionally we are altering the occlusal surface of the teeth to change their form. Okay. Teeth are altered by selective grinding to make simultaneous cusp tip to cusp tip contact on both sides of the arch when the jaws are in left or right lateral position. When patient moves on right side or left side, so they should be cusp tip should be in contact. Avoiding remounting the denture on articulator and selective grinding leads to, so after denture processing we have to remount the denture before separating the denture from the cast. We have to remount. Then we have to check for the contacts and do the selective grinding. If you want to do remounting of the dentures, it leads to deformation of underlying soft tissue, discomfort to the patient, and destruction of underlying supporting bone. Later occlusal errors may conceal and impossible to locate and correct because of distorted and swollen tissues. So always before placing in the patient mouth, we have to do lab remounting of dentures. Then we have to do selective grinding in order to avoid any kind of discomfort or problem to the patient. A clinical or lab remount is done. Methods of detecting occlusal errors. How we detect the occlusal errors are using articulating papers or wax template or abrasive paste. By using this, we can identify the problematic area and that can be modified intentionally. Errors in centric occlusion are corrected first. First, in centric position of the mandible, we have to correct or we have to relieve the any problematic areas, and then errors in lateral movements. Okay, first centric corrections has to be done, then lateral. In centric, if opposing functional cusp contact, deepen the fossa. So when there is a problem, suppose we find out a problem in the centric occlusion. Okay, when there is centric occlusion, so we have to deepen the maxillary fossa, central fossa, but not alter the functional cusp. Okay, so correcting for maximum intercuspation. Discrepancy in meso-distal relationship in maximum intercuspation will usually due to interference between mesial slopes of upper cusp and distal slopes of lower cusp. Okay. Errors in mesodistal relation between the teeth are corrected by grinding the shaded areas. See, first these shaded areas are there, right? These has to be altered to provide any kind of interference. The mesial slopes of upper and distal slopes of lower has to be adjusted to provide smooth gliding contacts. If cusps are too long, see, this cusp is too sharp, this cusp is too sharp. Grind the opposing fossa. So this is the mandibular teeth. Buccal cusp is steep. Because of this, if there is any interference, we have to deepen the fossa. The maxillary palatal cusp is functional cusp. If it is a sharp, instead of grinding the sharp functional cusp, we have to modify the or grind the fossa or deepen the fossa. Okay. Insufficient overjet. If there is insufficient overjet, the teeth appear to be placed end to end. Overjet is not sufficient. It will be seen like edge to edge relation. Grind the inclines. The inclines of the teeth has to be grind to move the upper cusp buccally and lower cusp lingually. So to provide this basic occlusion, we have to grind the slopes of the cusp. Correcting for lateral exclusive movements. Working side interference. It can be either be due to buccal cusp contacting or the lingual and palatal cusp contacting or both, thus preventing any contacts on the non-working side. So if there is a working side interference, buccal cusp may contact, but lingual does not. So grind the upper buccal cusp tips and alter their inclines. See, if there is working side contacts, the upper buccal cusp, which are non-functional cusp, has to be altered. Lingual cusp make contact, but buccal does not. Grind lower lingual cusp and alter their incline. So working side contacts or interference are there. Always modify upper buccal cusp or mandibular lingual cusp. If there is non-working side interference is there, non-working side interference is there. Non-working side interference are between inclines of supporting cusp. So both are supporting cusp only, non-working side, upper palatal and lower buccal. So adjust only those parts of inclines. So only the inclination of the cusp. Don't reduce the cusp height, only the inclination of the cusp. That contact, preserve the cusp as possible, especially the upper palatal cusp. Okay. During protrusion, if there is any interferences, incisal interference are adjusted by preferably grinding the incisolabial surface of lower incisors. Lower incisors, incisolabial surface will be altered to provide smooth protrusive contacts. Posterior interference are adjusted by grinding distal slopes of upper teeth and medial slopes of lower teeth. See, during protrusion, from occlusion, teeth has to be taken forward, means the distal slopes of upper and medial slopes of lower has to be adjusted. So for this, selective grinding, Bull's principle is very important. In anterior teeth, lingual of upper and labial surface of lower teeth is grinded to eliminate interferences. So for anterior teeth, lingual slopes of upper, labial slopes of and mandibular anterior teeth has to be altered. Final result should be smooth gliding lateral excursion with working and balancing contact. The multiple contact should be smooth, uniform and in harmony with TMJ and neuromuscular activity. According to muscular and TMJ activity, the contacts of the occlusion teeth should be. So this is the basic concept of Bull's principle. Bull's, B-U-L-L. If you elaborate, upper buccal, lower lingual. Upper buccal, non-functional. Lower lingual, non-functional. Okay. So this Bull's principle is very important. Okay. Working side interference, Bull's law is followed. Cuspal inclines of buccal cusp of maxillary teeth, lingual inclines of mandibular teeth. See, lingual cusp of mandibular, lower lingual. Mandibular teeth also known as lower teeth, lingual cusp. Maxillary, upper teeth, buccal cusp. So this is Bull's law. Balancing side contacts, cuspal inclines of lower buccal cusp, triangle ridges reduced. See, balancing side we have to adjust only the incline. Protrusive, anteriorly, incisolabial surface of lower incisors, posteriorly, distal inclines of upper buccal cusp ridges and mesial inclines of lingual cuspal ridges has to be relieved. So selective grinding, depending on where the interferences are, we have to do the adjustments. If it is on working side, we have to follow Bull's law. If it is on balancing side or non-working side, only the inclines of the cusp, inclines of functional cusp has to be modified. If it is in protrusive, upper lingual slopes or lower labial incisal edges of the teeth has to be modified. Or distally, during protrusion, if there is interference, we have to alter distal inclines of upper teeth or mesial inclines of lower cusp has to be relieved or adjusted to provide balanced occlusion. So, until now we have seen balanced occlusion, which is very important topic. So other concepts of occlusion we see in the next class. Okay, thank you.